Hey, welcome back to the program here on Coastal Daybreak here on the talk station FM 107 and AM 1240. Our next guest has been on with us many times before. He was also with Lockwood yesterday. Former State Senator Thom Goolsby in Wilmington, an attorney there, and he's also a member of the UNC Board of Governors. Thom, welcome to the program.
Ben, good to be with you again, my friend. Hope you're doing well.
We are doing well. Listening to you last night with Lockwood, and y'all went through a lot of the good information. We would just want to repeat some of it. As a member of the Board of Governors, you recently sent out a letter and accompanied with a video of you explaining your position that it is the law that this Silent Sam statue be returned. Is that correct?
That is right. North Carolina General Statute 100-2.1. You can look it up. It's the Monuments Protection Act, passed in 2015, a year after I left the Senate. Every senator of both parties, including our current Attorney General, then Senator Josh Stein, everyone voted for it.
Yeah, it was passed unanimously.
Out of the Senate. Now, the House, there were probably some votes against it, but in the Senate, unanimous.
And here it is. This is the law of North Carolina now, and this speaks to a lot of what the concerns are about this kind of social justice movement, is that we're going to kind of skirt the law in order to prevent something, and I'm not quite sure what. You also claimed in your letter that not only was this not a spontaneous reaction that pulled down the Silent Sam statue last week, but it was planned, and that it was also did not generally involve UNC students.
No UNC students have been arrested yet. Now, again, the mainstream media reported it like it was a spontaneous student uprising, that they came and, nobody could stop them, and the students just tore down this old monument. Nothing is further from the truth. In fact, those of you who've been looking at your newspaper this morning, and I know we're in eastern North Carolina, and our paper of record, thank goodness, is not the News and Observer, but they and WRAL actually did an information request. I don't know if you've even seen the story, Ben. It came out late last night.
Yeah.
It's in this morning's paper. Now the truth is starting to come out that we, since the beginning on the Board of Governors, have been trying to find out the answers. Apparently, the police were told by their higher-ups, we don't know how high it goes, to back down, to leave the protesters alone.
But it's certainly on the ground. They were told to stand back as far away as they could.
And they did, and I encourage everybody to go look at the videos, because what you'll see is there was a gathering of the radicals, of the off-student, what I would call the criminal element of Antifa, and a couple of these far-left communist front groups. They had red flags even. They had the Antifa banner with them. So don't anybody tell me they weren't there. I saw their banner. I saw them marching. I mean, you can see the videos of it. And what they did, Ben, is they basically took long bamboo poles, about 30-foot bamboo poles, and they tied banners to them. And then they walked up to Silent Sam, and they stacked these banners around Silent Sam in a big circle. And then they climbed behind it with blowtorch, wrenches, whatever the paraphernalia that was needed, while the police stood there and let them do it, and stood back, and you can watch the video. The police aren't engaging them. They're not doing anything. Apparently, the captain of the Chapel Hill Police Department, which I still don't understand, is directing people on the UNC campus. If you've read the excerpts from the text and emails that WRAL and the News and Observer have gotten, and they just stand there and allow these radicals to go on top of a 110-year-old statue, either cut the bolt and or unscrew the bolt, attach a rope, a big web like a big web toe to it, and then pull it down. Now, they passed the rope out between the banners. Then they started jerking on it, and then as it fell through the banners and slammed into the ground, shielding all of them, with the police standing by, taking no names, stopping nobody, doing nothing. And with the chief sends out a thank you to the officers for their good work the night before.
Yes. Yeah, I saw that.
It's outrageous.
Yeah.
I mean, it is totally outrageous. All these people need to be removed from office, whoever is responsible for this. And the people of North Carolina, I guess my letters and emails and phone calls, 20-1 in support of the law, not the rule of the mob.
Right.
Mr. Goolsby, do you think that, I mean, from what you're describing, it sounds like the police officers may have been afraid to stop them for fear of public outlash. I mean, the things that are happening in our country against police officers, do you think that might have had something to do with the fact that they just stood and watched?
Well, I mean, I've been told about what great officers we have, that how they've handled crowds before. That, I mean, and again, all they had to do was call in for reinforcements. No call was made to the Orange County Sheriff's Department, Wake County Sheriff's Department, Highway Patrol. Nothing that, again, has come to light to us. We've received no excuses. All we've been told is we did everything we could.
Yeah,
and the fact of the matter is they didn't do anything.
Nobody,
they just stood back.
Nobody shows up spontaneously with a blowtorch.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, and let me tell you, it went on for an hour and a half. Okay, This is, and again, I just get so disturbed by the news media that hops up, the big mainstream news media hops up with one meme of spontaneous student uprising, nothing anybody could do, and then you find out it's planned, it's radicals off campus, they come on campus, they do this for an hour and a half, and the police stand around lollygagging, just watching and reporting back. Oh, and they were reporting back, too, about any fears about alt-right groups showing up to cause a problem. That was their biggest concern.
They had I think the next day, the one report I did see that said that they were expecting just a couple dozen or something protesters, and ended up being far more. But they didn't call, as you said. They didn't call to try and get any additional help.
They just backed off and let them destroy a 110-year-old monument. That's the answer. I mean, since when?
Yeah.
I mean, and they had advertised this. I've seen the posters they put all around town. None of this was out of the blue. And when you see I think when all the emails come out, when all the text messages come out, it was just ridiculous. And now we have the emboldening of these far left fringe groups, Antifa and the like, people who are willing to commit violence. They're willing to, form mobs and tear down property. And I'm like, what's next?
Well,
Go into the Keenan library, pull out the books and burn them? They don't like. I mean, just what's next?
Attorney Thom Goolsby is our guest here, former state senator, member of the UNC Board of Governors. Tom, another thing maybe to look at, because I remember seeing these pictures, and I thought at the time, a front-end loader took Sam off in the middle of the night. Who has a front-end loader handy? I mean, how did that happen to get there and happen to be there?
I mean, again, as this story comes out, Ben, we end up finding out that everything about this whole event that was spontaneous wasn't spontaneous at all. And how far does it go? You ask a valid question, and you and everybody in North Carolina who pays hundreds of millions of dollars a year in taxes to support these universities, their grounds, buildings, professors, administrators. I mean, you pay the lion's share of the money, not the parents, not the tuition. It's paid by the North Carolina taxpayer, and you need to know what's going on with your money and your campus, because it is yours. It's a state treasure. It's not the radicals. It's the North Carolina People's University system.
Again, this statue and other monuments have been up for over 100 years. There certainly must have been debate somewhere along the line, especially in the civil rights era. Must have been some other debate that goes on. Why now? And I think a lot of it's because that social justice tipping point has really tipped. It's gone very, very far, and so it infiltrates every square inch of our academia now.
Well, and it's against what Dr. King preached. It's against what Mahatma Gandhi preached. I have continued to cite those gentlemen because they believed in civil nonviolence, civil disobedience, and nonviolence was the key. These groups have gone totally over the top, and just the hate and rage that you see online that they spew at anybody who speaks up for the truth. I mean, it's unbelievable what they've said about me, continue to project on anybody who stands up for anything and just says, look, I believe in the rule of law. I believe in nonviolence. I believe in if you don't like something, then you can sure lobby against it. You can elect people you want. But if you don't have what you want and you want to tear things down, hurt people, destroy things, riot, That's not in keeping with Dr. King, and that is just wrong, and we're not going to tolerate it. We're not going to allow the rule of the mob. We're going to enforce the rule of law.
If good people can't come together and have reasonable debate and discussion and come to an end, because so much of the social justice movement has no end. I mean, it has nothing that says this is the world that we hope to live in. This is it's a form of anarchy, and
it is.
And when they yell at the counter protesters to the less than 2 dozen that showed up for a white supremacist march in D.C., and they had just 20 times that number that showed up against them, properly so. But when they start chanting no something, no walls, no USA at all, no borders, no walls, no USA,
no USA at all,
no USA at all. Is that the end result? Is that the objective? And if it is,
I mean, again, anarchy. These are anarchists. The Antifa folks, the folks waving the communist flags, the Workers' Party. They were there. I mean, with their red flags and all. No, they're dedicated exactly to this. Now, it's a small group of people, but the Nazis were a small group of Germans, and they hung around for years. They engaged in street fights. They engaged in protests. They burned things. They tore things down. They beat up Jews and people they didn't like in the street. They did all these things.
Until the nation submitted.
Until the good people said, well, maybe we just, because they kept going along to get along long enough that they won. And Hitler became chancellor legally in Germany, And again, that's the model. If you let this continue to go, and I, for one, am not going to stand by and let the rule of law pass in the night.
Again, we want to welcome Thom Goolsby with us. What kind of reaction are you getting back from your fellow board of governors members?
They understand. A lot of folks are trying to be very measured in this. And, of course, what we dealt with was not measured. What we dealt with was violence on our campuses, and I just refuse to stand by and let it move forward.
Okay. All right. Well, Thom, thank you for joining us. We'll be interested in following with you where this story goes. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ben.
And Senator Thom Goolsby joining us from Wilmington. We appreciate that, and we'll have more to come in a moment.